11.0.5 is just around the corner. We know it's bringing the anniversary event, all kinds of changes to things, nice stuff here or there, but it's also bringing a lot of quality of life updates, right? Blizzard respecting our time, believe it or not. It's been happening a lot lately. Let's see what this is from Dalaran Gaming. The best quality of life updates to look forward to in 11.0.5.
Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. By the time you're watching this video, the 11.05 update is arriving in just about a week from now.
Oh yeah,
with
very
the 20th
close.
anniversary update releasing a bunch of new collectibles and rewards for
October 22nd for anyone who doesn't know right now.
Earn to celebrate 20 years on Azeroth. But this update also brings with it a ton of new improvements, from new ways for you to be able to catch up new odds with EXP bonuses, but also ways for you to catch up to all those characters and gear them out as quickly as possible, as well as a bunch of class revamps and changes to make our classes feel and play better, whether it is trying to really capture or recapture the class fantasy of certain hero specs or improve the talent loadouts for a variety of different classes. Among those, we also have other improvements for mostly quality of life things, such as better integration of the warband system, better time managing all of those different currencies that the game is going to be throwing out at you with all the new vendors.
Of course, a new event, new currency. Blizzard can't help themselves. We are getting a lot of currency shit. Now we're getting mainly the bronze stuff for this thing. We're also getting some other currency. It's like a what's it called? It's like a coffer dirigible, something like that. I don't know. It's some coffer thing that we're also going to be using. And then there's the time warp badges that we already have that we'll be using in these events as well.
Spend all of this currencies on.
New currencies.
So for today's video, I really want to go over all of the different quality of life updates arriving with the patch 11.05 that are going to further improve the way that you interact with the game in the War Within expansion. As always, if you want to see more videos like these for the War Within, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. First of all, let's start out with one of the smaller quality of life additions, the one that every player is going to be able to basically notice as soon as the update goes live, and that is updates to transmogs. Ever since the warband system got implemented, it's so much easier to maintain all of your characters' different transmogs and collect mogs even if you can't directly wear them. Like, if I go to run a raid or a dungeon on my monk and I get a bunch of plate pieces, cloth pieces, and mail pieces, if I haven't yet added those items to my collections yet, they get added automatically, even if I can't.
I think he's about to get into the whole, if you do a quest now, you get all the pieces for your transmog rather than the one you pick, too. It's pretty
directly.
Pretty
and they're
good.
Trying to break apart even more barriers with 11.05. One of which is going to be class restrictions behind certain items, which you will notice that certain raids and certain instances still do retain some of the older class restrictions.
Right.
Hellfire Citadel, for example, has a bunch of leg pieces that not only have an armor type restriction, which the game ignores, but there's also a paladin restriction, shaman restriction, hunter restriction, warrior restriction, and if you're not that class, some of those items are still unobtainable or you couldn't really add them to your collections appropriately. So now you can. All those restrictions, even if they are class-based and class-specific, all of them have been released as of 11.05. Another quality update is whenever you complete a quest, like let's say within Kaz Algar, on a character, that character, when they complete the quest, for the rewards of the quest, you only see the items relevant to the class and spec. So if you're a mage, for example, you may only see certain weapons as a reward, like a staff or a wand potentially. But on another class like a rogue, you would see daggers. On a warrior,
I agree, Monarch. The interesting thing about this is Blizzard did say it's going to be retroactively implemented. So tons of transmog are going to be just all of a sudden show up on your logs for everybody. Now the thing is, like, how far back are they going to go? Is this going to be in phases? Because to go all the way back to classic, that's crazy. Now, of course, a lot of the classic items, the gray items, a lot of that shit is not transmoggable anyways, so that's not going to count. Really, we're talking about, more gear progression related items or early expansion, questing out there, maybe some of the bigger items that you can get from quests. But still, to be retroactive, that's going to be a ton of new transmogs for all your tunes. I'm surprised they decided to do this.
Swords and
not going forward, but the retroactive part about it is what's surprising.
So every quest that has a reward actually has a bunch of
even gray items are. I think some gray items are. I don't think all gray items are transmoggable. I know that they did add gray items into the game for transmog, but I don't think every single gray item you ever looted is transmoggable. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was only certain ones. They all are now? Holy shit, guys, we're going to get a ton of... How is that possible? We're about to have like thousands of items in our tabs. There's got to be a catch here.
unless you went back to redo that quest on a specific class in order to obtain some of those cosmetic looks. And now they changed it so whenever you complete a quest, all of those hidden rewards, quote unquote, are still added to your appearances, even if you can't see them as a potential viable reward. In fact, all of the rewards from those quests are actually going to be applied to your account retroactively. So as soon as 1105 launches, just for logging in, you'll be able to get all of those hidden rewards that you couldn't originally obtain.
Okay, I'm calling it right now. This is going to break something. Something's going to be broken when the servers go live again and they implement this, and they're going to have to extend maintenance or something. Or they're going to do the whole, like, hey, servers are coming back up, but you know that transmog thing, it's not going to be available just yet. We're holding off on it. It broke something, so we pulled it, but we're going to put it back in there in a hot fix at some point. This is a huge thing. Like, I don't think people realize how big that is. Retroactively, every account that's been active maybe since Classic for some of these people, getting all the transmog that they ever freaking quested for? What the hell?
Throughout the zones of Kaz,
yeah, 6 hours.
Or all of the other older expansions, whenever they did have any of those lockouts with the hidden rewards that you couldn't see previously. Another major quality of life update worth discussing is the bad luck protection when it comes to some of the newer content arriving with the 20th anniversary update. Bad luck protection. As this patch brings in a bunch of new content, from world bosses for you to slay, as well as a bonus to experience gains to level up characters, time walking dungeons, a ton of class updates, but also a brand new raid available during the 20th anniversary. And for me, the raid dungeon of Blackrock Depths is probably one of the most exciting updates of 1105, as it brings in the Blackrock Depths original dungeon instance, but revamps it into a large raid where a lot more players can participate with it at once. And while they have a set amount of bosses that'll be the core bosses to this experience, they will also have some of the smaller encounters from the original Blackrock Depths that will function kind of like as mini bosses that you could fight in between of actual core bosses, with a ton of new loot to collect. And a lot of these items are actually pretty equivalent to the Nurubar Palace raid, as this raid is scaled in different difficulties.
The raid is going to go up to heroic, so you can get heroic Nurubar Palace item level items from this raid. It's going to be great. I can't wait to do it, actually. We're getting an extra raid, basically. That's freaking awesome.
From LFR, normal, and heroic, with a ton of new items that have bonus additional effects, which gives players so much more loot to collect, especially when you're trying to get caught back up in the Season 1. But also on top of it, to make that catch up even easier, they added some bad luck protection vendors to make that gearing journey even easier.
Right.
As you delve through these raids, you'll be able to collect Time Warp Relic Coffer Keys.
Yeah, Time Warp Relic Coffer Keys. This is the thing I was just talking about a couple minutes ago. These are what you're going to use. This is another currency, of course, but you're going to be able to use them to directly buy pieces of gear from the raid, like target something. So say there is a certain piece that you want, you can go get it, or there's like those bracers that you haven't been able to replace yet through Nurubar Palace. Bam! You run this raid, you get this currency, you come here, you buy the bracers. Heroic level gear. Easy.
Difficulties. You have the LFR, you have the normal, and the heroic version of these coffer keys. And you'll be able to earn it by slaying bosses within the raid instance. Though you can only have a maximum of 120 of these keys per difficulty. So think of 120 keys for LFR, 120 keys for normal, and 120 keys for heroic, which allows you to buy 3 guaranteed items from 3 different difficulties.
Awesome.
So if you're coming back for the 20th anniversary and are excited to jump into Season 1, not only are you going to be able to get some guaranteed gear just for running the raid, but it also creates some bad luck protection for your character. So even if there are limitations on how many of these items you can purchase, you could at least get some direct upgrades for your character, which mirrors some of the gear vendors that we saw during the tail end of certain expansions, such as the Shadowlands and Dragonflight, with this vendor gear focus system being probably one of the best systems they've added in the game, and it's generally a system liked by many in the community, which allows 80 players returning for the 20th anniversary to be able to guarantee some of the best in slot items that you can now focus, work towards, and farm in order to gear out your character more efficiently. Now, another major feature of the 20th anniversary update is the addition of world bosses out within Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms. Some of these bosses did end up moving their locations for this update, but we still have the originals, such as Doomwalker, as well as Azurikos, the Dragons of Nightmare, as well as Lord Kazak. But also we have a couple of new additions, such as Shah of Fear, which can be seen way in the distance if I fly high enough. There he is. You could barely see him on the horizon, but it is the actual Shah. Oh, not Shah of Fear, Shah of Anger, rather.
You'll be able to form up a raid group and just run around and kill all these bosses all at once. It's pretty cool that they're all going to be up just running around Tanaris. Just giant. You can form a giant kill mob and just run around and kill them all.
From Mr. Pandaria into Teneris, but also Archivon, which is a world boss.
Also, they're all going to drop
from
mounts.
Wrath of the Lich King. All of those bosses
That's
are going to be
pretty
very,
cool.
very similar to the original versions of those bosses. So, like Shah of Anger, for instance, is going to have an updated version of all of his items that are more relevant for some of the more concurrent gear in Season 1. But you'll also have some of the more familiar rewards, such as the Reigns of the Heavenly Onyx Cloud Serpent,
Oh, yeah.
which is going to give players that haven't unlocked this one from Mop Remix another opportunity to be able to unlock this rare and gorgeous mount to add towards their collections. To make finding all of these bosses easier, they've actually updated and put them up on your map. So if you are searching for any of these bosses, you can just zoom out on the map and see exactly where all of them are.
Nice.
Normally players would have to integrate things such as add-ons or maybe use other external websites.
Every time Blizzard eliminates the need for another add-on, it's a W. I wish there was. I hope and pray one time there's a day where we don't need add-ons anymore. It'd be great. Be a great thing to see a game that's actually fully created to not require you to download something else on the side. I think they just really need DPS meters still. I don't know why they've been so shy of that. I feel like it's very obvious and easy for them to do. Just add in some DPS and healing meters. Just do what the damage meters do that we download right now do. And then we'd be like really good, in a really good spot in terms of not needing add-ons. But this one right here, nice. You don't got to download that whole map pack shit.
Track where all of these bosses are. However, there's been a pretty big push in the community.
I agree, Monarch. I think that's the one reason they're holding out is they're worried that it will create a toxic environment. But like, how many players don't have meters? It's got to be a minority. There's no way it's not over 50% that have a DPS tracking of some sort. So, I mean, how much would it change the game? I don't think it would change it that much.
To try to limit
better to be a
the
choice,
need
maybe.
for add-ons within WoW. So with Blizz devs adding the locations of these bosses on the base UI map, and even telling
Although
you
you could have it automatically off and just have it as a toggle thing. You have to turn it on to have it.
timers for things such as Dragons of Nightmare, where there are 4 dragons that can spawn in 4 different locations and are on a strict rotation, being able to pull up the map without the need for add-ons or external websites and see exactly where these bosses are and find them is a big quality of life improvement for this 20th anniversary update.
Yeah, for sure.
You can even click on these bosses when you're in the same zone as those bosses, and the game will even show you and point to you exactly where they are, which makes it much easier to find. And that is something a lot of players want in the community to see. Less reliance on needing add-ons in order to be able to play the game, but also less reliance on weak auras, which hopefully they can continue working on when it comes to some of the future encounter designs when it comes to the next raid of the War Within expansion. The
Yep,
next feature
nice.
is going to be one of massive functionality improvements
I'm
when it
curious
comes
too,
to
Papa.
using professions and maximizing your value from professions, as well as the Warbound Bank within the War Within. Warbound Bank is fantastic because you can allocate different slots of the Warbound Bank for different items. So you can
Nice.
have one slot for all of the different professional reagents. Like maybe, for example, you'll go out mining and herbing out in the open world in Khazalgar, and then you'll take all of those reagents into the Warbound Bank and slot them there.
Right.
So that your leather workers, your blacksmith, and whoever else that utilizes those gathering materials can then utilize them for the profession crafts. However, there's always a problem with the work order system because it wouldn't really recognize the Warbound Bank
yeah, this
slots
is another
as
thing.
actual materials that you can utilize. So every single time on your character, you had to go to the bank, withdraw all of those items, go back to the table,
Right.
then do all your work orders, then go.
This is a really good change. I even though I don't participate in the crafting system, the fact that you will not have to go back to your bank every time you want to craft something now is awesome. It's obviously there. They have the data of what's in your Warbound Bank. So yeah, the fact that now the system itself will access that data and know that you've got 2 pieces of whatever and put it automatically in there if you need it, that's a really good quality of life change. Respecting our time. That's what a lot of this shit's about. Blizzard's doing it.
Go back to the bank to slot them back in. And basically with 1105, they're making it so that the work order system recognizes the Warbound
Could be,
bank
Monarch.
slots, especially the reagent slots. So you can now store all these reagents, hop on the character that's going to craft some stuff, and then craft without having to do the song and dance between running between your bank, grabbing items,
this is
running to
nice.
the table, crafting stuff, right into the bank, dropping the items off, which definitely took a little bit of time and wasn't all that intuitive. That's a pretty big functionality update when it comes to professions and does finally make the whole Warbound system, at least regarding professions, a little bit more coherent and cohesive. Now, another smaller part of the quality of life updates is character management, as they're trying to improve it a little bit further. As part of the 20th anniversary, we're going to have a bunch of different XP buffs from 2000th anniversary, 10% buff, but also on top of it, stacking Blessing of the Bronze Dragonflight 10% on top of it buff. And then we're going to have a couple other holidays, like there should be coming up a Hollow's End, and it should be overlapping at some point with the 20th anniversary. Actually, pretty closely, because it's releasing on 22nd. On top of the Warband buff that all characters get, up to 25, depending on how many max level characters you already have. And that's a lot of different stacking.
There's going to be a very, what's it called? Very grindy reputation that you'll be able to get for sure. There's such a big reputation buff throughout this event. You'll be able to push all of your reputations up.
XP bonuses which for most players to create new alts. In fact, players right now can even go back and restore old characters to bring them into the limelight before the 20th anniversary. So there's going to be a lot more reasons for you to be able to play multiple characters, since catch up in 20th anniversary with all the new updates and all the new gearing bonuses is going to make gearing up a new character much easier. But then you need to be able to manage all those characters, and they're improving the character select screen, especially the search functionality, where they're adding a little bit more granularity where you can search by spec, search by class, search by realm, and they're improving that whole search functionality just a little bit more to make managing all of those new and upcoming alts a little bit easier. As part of the 20th anniversary, there's going to be a lot of reasons to spend the currency of the Time Warp badges. In fact, they're actually adding even new items to some of the other Time Walking vendors for expansions such as Wrath of the Lich King.
We're going to have Wrath of the Lich King Time Walking during this anniversary event, and they added new items to it, so you'll be able to buy them. And there are I think there's some mounts, right? We talked about it yesterday. Really cool stuff. So yeah, Time Warp syncing, Time Warp badges syncs. There's going to be a ton of them in this event.
TBC, and I believe also Cataclysm, but they're doing a big revamp for all those time walking vendors. So being able to pull all the currency on a single character using the warband system is going to be of utmost importance. So the next time you hop on another character, maybe when you're trying to level during the 20th update with all the XP bonuses, and you're looking through all the vendors and you want to be able to buy some of the newer items. You can transfer items a little bit easier, such as Time Warp badges, by going to the transfer section, and now you have a little button next to the actual amount to transfer.
Oh, it says max.
So in a couple of clicks, you can transfer all of that currency from one character to the next. You no longer have to actually type it up for every single one of your characters. But they're further improving the functionality of the currency system because, as you can see, this character only has access to a handful of currencies. What if there's another currency that I want to transfer over so that character can then go interact with a new vendor? In the currency section, you now have a new drop down that either shows you the character's currencies that they've seen or show all warbound transferable currencies immediately. So if you want to transfer over some cash, some resonant crystals, undercoin, or any of the other older expansion
makes the whole currency menu much more navigable and useful, so that's good.
Such as honor for maybe some of the early items. Maybe you're questing through the Dragonflight expansion and you want to buy some of the items that you might have missed over on the Quartermaster vendors, but now they're unlocked thanks to the warband system. Or if you're running through some of the older expansions and you want to be able to transfer some of those currencies immediately, you could do so by simply enabling to be able to see all warband transferable currencies, even if the character necessarily hasn't interacted with those currencies just yet. This change overall improves the UI and the functionality of the UI by giving you actual ways for you to be able to finally interact with all of these different currencies, and allows you to see them even if the character specifically hasn't interacted with them. It's a very small update, but it definitely improves some of the quality of life experience with managing currencies, which is why it makes the list. But with everything being said, as always, I want to thank all of you guys so much for watching this update, and I hope all of you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community if you've got more questions regarding 20th anniversary, as I'll definitely be making more guides in order to really maximize and squeeze everything out of the 11.05 update. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.
Yeah, great video. A common theme here when it comes to the anniversary event and everything that's coming in 11.0.5, and a lot of the things that came with this expansion. Blizzard's respecting our time a little bit more. They're making things a little bit easier, taking away a lot of the cumbersome stuff that used to just cause you to be logged in for longer time, period, for no reason. Basically now when you're playing the game, most of the time you're doing something meaningful. And a lot of the silly stuff that just used to waste time is being slowly cut out of the game, which is great. It's good to see from the dev team, and good to see overall from WoW. Nice video from Dalaran.